Welcome to another episode of the Flats Nation podcast. And a big shout out to Brother Dave Fader down Amarada for the awesome music. You can check out more of Dave's phenomenal work on davidfader.com. Well, good morning. This is your guy, Dave Legier, here on Flats Nation. And today we have the pleasure of being joined by Rob Carter. He is the driving force behind Angling International. And like Flats Nation, this online magazine has earned its stripes as the top business-to-business publication for global fishing tackle trade, pretty much worldwide, with a reach that spans basically every country where fishing tackle is sold. It's pretty safe to say that Angling International is a force to be reckoned with. They cover both fresh and saltwater tackle suppliers and are based on the other side of the pond in England. So let's geek out with Rob a little bit, get caught up on the fishing business in Europe and other nations worldwide, and sit back and relax and enjoy a cup of the Flail coffee with us. For this is going to be a very informative discussion, I'm quite sure. Rob, welcome aboard today. Can you give us a quick bio and your position at Angling International?
Hello, Dave, and thanks for inviting me to Flats Nation to talk to your audience. Nice to talk with you. Yeah, me, I'm the owner and editorial director and probably the international sales director too of Angling International. It's a business-to-business publication that's been serving the global angling trade for 17 years now.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a business journalist by design, I guess, since we've owned this magazine. But I'm a consumer writer, magazine writer by background. So I came to this by a roundabout route. But here I am, 17 years later, still going strong.
Awesome. Yeah, I love their articles. They're great content.
Appreciate it.
What high-level services, and we will dive deeper into this as we go, do you and your team offer at Angling International?
Okay, so we're a business magazine, as I say. We serve the international community of business people in the angling trade. So we serve them with news. We're journalists at heart, and it's a magazine and a website with high news value. But if you're asking me what we do for our clients, what we do is we help brands and tackle suppliers who are doing very well in their domestic markets, and we put them in touch and in connection with new importers around the world. So if you're doing well in Florida and your next step to grow your business is to look right the way around the world, you talk to us, and we put together an advertising package and a editorial package, and we present you to these importers around the world who are reading our magazine. And what we like to say is we help you color in the map. You can imagine exactly what that means. You tick off country by country, and we help you grow your business around the world.
Rob, we all know the staggering value of recreational fishing in Florida. It's valued around $9.2 billion. I've heard it as high as 13. What about the markets you cover? What is that estimated value for your markets in Europe and other parts that you reach out to?
So in Europe, the estimated value is around just over 6 billion euros. The beauty of Angling International is that we cover the whole world. In fact, including Florida and the US, we also help businesses in Europe enter the US market because of our readership in the US. So I guess the value of Angling International beyond a 6 billion euro European market is that wherever fishing is doing well, we'll find you customers there.
What products and services do you offer for the business-to-business tackle and related supply companies at Angling International?
Okay, so as you can imagine, with any media company, we've grown. We've added platforms. So when we began 17 years ago, we were a printed magazine that was mailed around the world. There was a limited website with news content. But obviously now we've become far more digital. Our strength has become digital. The magazine is digital now every month. The website is filled with content every day. And of course, we send out e-newsletters on behalf of our advertisers to our same database.
Now,
And
Rob,
now,
are you still doing the print magazine, or are you purely digital now?
no print now. No, it was a decision forced upon us, I guess, a little
Sure.
by COVID, when everyone had to look towards their costs, and also because, quite frankly, we were sending a mailed magazine to people who just weren't in their offices. There was no value in sending the magazine to people who were sat at home, and then we had their office address, and so it had no value for our advertisers. And quickly, angling became much more digitally focused as an industry, and our readers became finally comfortable in receiving content digitally only.
Well, you're gonna laugh. I take the iPad with me in the little boys' room, so I don't even read a printed magazine anymore. I've got that with me, which comes in handy because sometimes I need to expand the screen out a little bit larger to see the print.
Yeah. And we reach more people. I mean, print is limited, and we were able to include much more content. Print was great. And at heart, I'm a print journalist. That's where I cut my teeth.
Sure.
But it has its limitations on cost, on speed. We were reaching parts of, if we were a news-based magazine, if you imagine, we were reaching parts of Asia or even outposts of certain parts of Europe 2 or 3 weeks after we'd completed the magazine. And in the fast-moving world of media, that was unacceptable.
No, I love that saying, moving at the speed of business.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's for sure. What do you consider Angling International's strong suit? And I have to kind of refer to the old sales technique of features and benefits, which makes AI different, in your space.
Okay, so this is interesting. As I said, we're a news publication, but we're also a marketing tool for any brands and any advertisers that want to expand their business. So we understand that at heart, our service has to be helping people, helping businesses find new customers. But what we've managed to do at Angling International is marry the two. So we bring good journalism to bear to help our clients define themselves a little bit better in the market. So the best way to describe it is, I don't know, if you're a bait manufacturer or a strong bait brand in Florida and you want to start selling right away across the world and you want to start working with us, well, you're going to sit inside our pages and on our website alongside an awful lot of other bait brands that at first glance can look a lot like your brand, can have products that are very similar to your brand.
Very true.
Can have that same feel. And that's a tough place to be. So what we do when we begin working with a customer is drill down on what makes you different. So we put our journalistic hats on and we talk to you, we interview you, we get down down and dirty into what exactly makes your business tick, what it is that makes you different. And it can be a very interesting exercise for any brand who may not have thought about this so much and maybe a bit complacent in their home market to actually think, well, actually, what does make us different? Why aren't we better than the competitors? And quite often they're surprised by the results. It may well be the product. You may have a great product that is much better than the competitors for different reasons, but it might be your team. It might be your brand's heritage. You might have 100 years of history that you can call upon.
Exactly.
It might be the owner himself. It might be that the owner embodies a brand in such a way that he is centered to the story. And once we drill down, then we start presenting your brand with that difference at its heart. And we start talking about you in a different way and describing you in that way. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to do, and it's nice to see yourself as pleasant. We have brands that have been pleasantly surprised by how they are shown within our pages, and then they've taken that point of difference and used it in their own marketing materials as well.
Well, you're kind of like a coach for football.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, but purely by instinct because I'm a journalist. My team are editors, so we do that as a matter of course. We get the story.
Right. Tell me about your tackle stream service and product and how it differs from the customary Angling International site efforts.
Yeah, so that was a spin-off tackle stream. Around the same time as COVID, we felt that we're a business to business service at heart, but the lines have been blurred between business to business and business to consumer.
Right.
Brands are comfortable going direct to consumer and maybe missing out some chinks in the supply chain. Whereas before, brands would like to talk to distributors, then retailers, then the consumer, and at different times in the cycle of a product coming to launch. Now, brands are quite comfortable talking to consumers at the same time. So we had to move with the times and have something that appealed to consumers. We built a product-based website because we had the contacts in the trade, and that was Tackle Stream. It didn't quite work out, but the essence of that plan still exists. As a business, we are looking to use the content that we can so easily get from our position as in the heart of the tackle trade around the world. So we have the main line to all the movers and shakers in the worldwide tackle industry. So what can we do with that content that appeals to consumers? Tackle Stream was one attempt at that, where it was product at its heart. But I think there may be something in bringing industry news to the hardcore angling fans and telling them exactly what's going on behind the curtain.
Right.
The tackle industry.
Well, as I say from time to time, there's no need to reinvent the wheel. Just ride on it. So no need to, just adapt to those different needs and go forward with that. That's awesome. So now, without giving up the secret sauce, how does a tackle or other market-related company expand into other markets with your help at Angling International?
Okay. Well, it's a sustained approach.
Okay.
I mean, you'll know from your own business, but I can be quite honest with my advertisers and people that come to use our platforms. Is one advert is worse than zero adverts. Sure. You're just not going to get anywhere. I'm just gonna take your spend, and we'll both have a bad experience from that, and we'll probably vow to never work together again. Which would be a great shame. So you need to come with the attitude that this is going to be a sustained approach. We're going to do this for the medium to long term. I said, I think you're right in the middle of your presidential elections, and
we are
that. And I've seen from afar how, because the country is so vast, someone like the new Democratic vice president, he almost has to introduce himself to the whole of the nation. He's not completely known. He has to kind of introduce himself before he can even begin to seal any kind of deal. Right. And it's very similar with what we do. We're offering people the brands the chance to introduce themselves first. Let potential customers and international partners get to know you, understand you, trust you, look like you trust yourself, that you're willing to put some time and investment into this, and you have something to offer them. So it is that sustained approach where you introduce yourself first, then you begin to make some contacts, then you begin to have some conversations with people, and you change your marketing message, and then you strike, and you make that win, and you seal that deal many months down the line.
Well, along those same lines, what is the top level pitfalls they may encounter, and how do you help them negate some of those?
Okay. It's having that kind of conversation with them, warding them away from being too impatient, and also advising them not to be too inflexible.
Right, right.
So you may have a great product that you're very proud of, and quite rightly so, and you've built it up maybe from your garage, and you've tested it on the water, and you've had all the pitfalls, and you're embodied in it. It's been a personal project, but that's only the start. Angling is niche all over the world, and what you're presenting to potential international customers is the ability to make that kind of product for them that will suit their market. Right. So you're not necessarily selling the product that you've already made and you're very proud of. You're telling them that you have the ability to take this product and you have the skills and the wherewithal and the knowledge and the passion to work with somebody else and maybe just give it a little tweak here and there, maybe give it, develop it. So be prepared to be a little bit flexible.
Which business model, and I know this is probably going to be subjective a little bit due to the company and the size, that you see works the best? Direct to consumer or wholesale to the larger tackle dealers, or maybe a combination of both? What do you feel works best these days?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. Years ago, it would have been very easy to say, okay, here's how it works. You find a distributor. In a new territory, you find your French distributor, your German distributor, your Italian distributor, and you work with them, and they look after your product once it enters their market, and they deal with the retailers. That has changed somewhat. They come out of the chain a little bit, distributors, and some people will go direct to retailers. What we say is that it depends. It depends on the nature of your own business, how much control you want. It depends on costs. It depends on what kind of partner you want to have. And what we don't do is tell a brand that this is how they need to run their business. We have these end users. We have every kind of end user reading our magazine. So what we do is we throw the blanket on your behalf. We'll throw the blanket right across. We'll introduce you to all these different kinds of potential business partners that deal in their territories in different ways. And we provoke them to come forward, put their hands up and say, I like the look of you. I like the look of you, bait brand from Florida. That's the kind of thing that would work well in my market. Let's have a conversation. I may well be a big retailer. I may well be a distributor. I may be an agent, but let me make my case to you. So our job is to be the bridge in the middle, where we just say, okay, let's cross that waterway to this separate territory, and let's everyone meet in the middle, or cross the bridge to meet in the middle and talk it amongst ourselves.
What do you see in Europe and other areas as the most popular method for anglers to review and buy the tackle they desire, or as I like to say, need? Because I'm trying to have enough rod and reels or keep up with as many shoes as she has. So it's not necessarily, an impulse buy. It's just need. What do you see in Europe that's maybe different from us here in the States or the Bahamas or Mexico that makes it unique?
Do you mean how they buy their tackle?
Yeah, how do they find it? I mean, what is?
Oh, I don't. You wouldn't find it. You wouldn't find it that much different. I mean, the one thing you probably wouldn't find so prevalent in Europe are those huge big box stores that you've got, the Bass Pro and the Cabela's and the Sportsman Warehouse, those kind of places, these destination, almost leisure facilities where they're just, I mean, you guys are just great consumers, aren't you? You've elevated consuming
to an art form.
To an art form, really, and as a leisure pursuit. It's still functional more here, I would say, in Europe. I mean, you still get people that will go and just spend the whole day shopping and browsing and making it a destination for them, but perhaps not quite so much. I would imagine that over here in Europe compared to the US, it's still very much functional. So the buying on the web is just it's just great. It's just great. I mean, people they can find what they want, they browse, and they make their decision quite quickly. And then, secondly, on the flip side of that, you've still got your mom and pop stores, or what would be the equivalent of the mom and pop stores, the bait stores, and so on. Although, as everywhere, they're under pressure, and
Sure
yeah,
yeah, very much so.
Mm.
What about fly fishing, Rob? That tends to be very specialized. Sometimes they have shops, at least here in the U.S., that are specializing in that. Do you see the same in Europe and other areas for your coverage footprint when it comes to fly fishing?
Yeah, it is the same. It's the cousin that sometimes doesn't get invited to the party. Sometimes,
Right?
It's just and for no good reason. It's just historically, it just feels to be more niche and more just on the fringes and least like all the others somehow. But it feels to me that fly fishing doesn't mind that either. It doesn't mind being the odd one out a little bit and being a bit special and a bit niche. And it's the same. It's the same. It's niche to certain geographic locations. It's niche to certain demographics in some cases. I mean, in the UK, you'll find it. It's the king's fishing.
Right, exactly.
Prince Charles famously, where I worked in my first incarnation, we had a bunch of angling magazines, one of which was trout and salmon. We're very proud within our business there to say that Prince Charles, as he was then, was a subscriber to trout and salmon. So that's what all tells you all you need to know about where fly fishing sits compared to carp fishing or match fishing in the UK.
Oh, much less seeing the pictures of them out there fishing with a tie on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
I'm like, really?
yeah. And the tweeds, absolutely, it's very tweedy.
Right.
The word is tweedy in the UK. Yeah,
right. Can your team and your efforts there, Angling International, help those fly tackle suppliers at the same time?
Yeah. We're still broad enough that we still have enough fly fishing importers, retailers, and distributors who receive our magazine. But it's just then you're down just to numbers. It's just a numbers game. It's a smaller part of the readership. It's a smaller part of the content, and so it sits even within what we do. It does sit in the corner, and I can't sugar the pill any other way. Really,
Sure.
it is just on the fringe, but there's enough there.
What about electronics? Does your staff work with any of the navigation or sonar companies when it comes to this?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we feel that there was a real explosion in electronics about 5 years ago, and they really burst onto the scene, and we helped an awful lot of brands connect across the world at that time. It culminated with companies that were making drones for fishing. That's how far it got. There was drone fishing took off, and we were carrying content and adverts for a brand that had these huge drones that were helping people fish way out at sea. So absolutely, we go where the market takes us. We go where the market takes us. I mean, we don't force anything. We don't have any kind of agenda in that regard at all. If people are making electronics and feel that they can bring that to market and they're doing well domestically and they want to take it across the world, then they should talk to us. We'll find them a customer.
What about lifestyle related products? Like clothing and human performance products. I mean, can you help them with that product exposure or refer them to us for?
Yeah.
Shirts?
Again, this goes back to that flexibility and that niche. So apparel and clothing can be very niche to a geographic area or a country. So if you're a Florida-based apparel supplier with great fly fishing, multicolored shirts, that kind of Hawaiian kind of fly flavored shirt, and the great prints and things like that. You may not find much of a market in Scandinavia,
Oh, very
or
true.
so you just have to balance that out a bit. So you may well be a broader based apparel company that can adapt. But yeah, the clothing does have more of a niche appeal than maybe, well, as you can imagine, than a rod.
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
Clothing, shoes. I mean, there's so
Yeah,
many lifestyle related
yeah,
products.
yeah.
I
Hmm.
mean, look how many guys are wearing their fishing shirts, their button up fishing shirts to work and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the
Comfortable.
thing. People become a tribe. The opposite.
Exactly.
If you're thinking about it, going the opposite way in the UK, the uniform of a hardcore carp angler is all the greens and is green camouflage and those earthy colors
Right.
and those big hooded tops and things like that, and it's functional, but it's also got a lifestyle element. You want to project out that you are a carp angler and you're part of that tribe. Yeah, but I couldn't imagine one of your Flats Nations followers imported and wearing a big carp anorak.
Probably not.
No.
No, not at all.
Ah,
What is your take on using the extensive online shopping monsters like Amazon and Alibaba and AliExpress and others? Are they viable for sales growth in Europe and surrounding areas, or and do you even, I mean, how do you guide your clients to work with inside those ecosystems?
well, it's almost they almost make the decision for themselves. Is really where they're at. Is that they're going to try and get product to market and lower their costs, and they're going to use these different suppliers and these different outlets in order to do that. Um, the fascinating part of that story really is how it affects the smaller retailers. As I said, those mom and pop stores
Right.
that are stuck there, which um, I think everyone in the trade, because they've been in the trade so long and they stick with the trade, they have a very rose tinted view of the mom and pop tackle stores. I think in their heart, they love to see them survive and they love to support them. And as they're transitioning away from them, because that's the nature of the economy of the industry,
Sure.
they still talk in those terms, but behind the scenes, everybody's really making these deals with the devil, I guess.
Mm.
And some of them reluctantly, some of them quite fervently, but we can't. It's the sands of time, isn't it?
It is. It is. Very much so.
Unfortunately, yeah, yeah.
What are your personal favorite subjects that you like to cover on Angling International?
Well, this goes back a little bit to, as I said, about when we work with clients and we talk about their points of difference.
Right.
Um, if I answer the question in the opposite way, first of all, what is less interesting is when we're talking about very similar products and we're talking about their spec and everybody's claiming they have the lightest reel or the most abrasion resistant fishing line. Um, that doesn't thrill myself and my team, which is part of the reason why we like to drill down on those points of difference. But then what is thrilling is when we come across the disruptive guys from outside the trade quite often who come with completely new ideas.
Right.
Um, and that's a great story to get your teeth into, not only because the product is new and the voice is different, but it's also because we're talking to someone at the very beginning of their business journey. They may well have just launched their business to do this in particular. So that's great to be with them on at the ground level and then see them grow and be part of that journey with them. So that's the most fun part.
Well, and along those lines about the, the human journey,
Yeah.
concept. I remember an article that you were featured on Angling International. I found very interesting about a company that had a fire and how they were rebuilding back
Yeah.
from the fire and getting production back up and running again. I think those make for very interesting reading, and I'm sure there's a compassion element to it, but I think a lot of those stories don't get told.
Well, what I do like about angling is that people like being in the angling trade, so they stick with it, which means people are friends and very friendly towards an awful lot of people going back years. So human stories are interesting. And also, a long time speaking with people about business, and it's nice to be able to talk about something a bit different. Sometimes when you're meeting somebody new, also having something different to begin the conversation. So,
So.
I think all that human interest is doubly important.
And we covered this on Flats Nation some, but I'm sure we can go into much more detail on it. Tell me and our listeners about Angling International live show that you're having in Budapest this year.
Okay, so we've launched a trade show for 2024,
Awesome.
which is again a natural progression, as we said, about how the media platforms just enlarge as you develop your business. The European trade has had a trade show for 25, 30 years, as run by EFTA, the trade association. So the European equivalent of the ASA,
right,
in the US. That struggled, obviously disappeared during COVID. FTEX, it disappeared, and it came back for one last hurrah last year. Brought everyone back together again in one room, which everyone was delighted to do in one big hall. Then it dropped away from the calendar for 2024. There was no plans to make an FTEX in 2024. Enough people in the trade wanted there to be a trade show. There should be a trade show, I believe. And we were the natural platform or the natural service providers to go ahead and make the show, because what a show needs is promotion.
True.
To bring people to that one place, to remind people why they should come there, and also to support those that are exhibiting. And Angling International, with its myriad platforms, was able to do that from March, to announce the show, maintain the momentum with news about the show, news about the exhibitors, offer the exhibitors some space in the magazine on the website to announce that they were coming, to present what they were bringing to the show. So that's what we're doing. So in September, on September the 26th to the 28th in Budapest, the capital of Hungary, Angling International Live will take place over 3 days, and will bring anybody willing to do business in Europe under one roof to talk and shake hands and make new business partnerships.
How is the growth of the show registrations going? Do you feel that Angling International is going to host this each year going forward, or is this a trial run? So
what's happened is that I was involved, or Angling International was involved with the promotions of the last FTEX show last year in 2023. So I was very, very close to the organisers of that show there, and actually they're my partners in the Angling International Live show this year.
Oh, that's great.
The point being that I was privy to how many pre-registered visitors they had as they were approaching the show.
Right.
And thanks to our efforts this year, we're at about 10 times that number of pre-registered visitors compared to
that's great.
the FTEX show last year, purely because we've been able to promote the show a lot harder within our pages and on our website and on social media. So we've garnered that level of support. So that's really encouraging. As far as going forward, I mean, the proof of that, or the test of that, will be on September the 26th to the 28th this year, when we see who comes and who has a great show and how well it's been received. I think I posted just lately on my LinkedIn account I didn't want to come across all Field of Dreams. You remember that? Remember that
Right.
film?
Right. Yeah.
If
Show
you
my
build,
age. Yep.
if you build it, they will come. And that's my attitude, is that I'll build it. I'll create the nuts and bolts. I'll build create the location, draw people there, promote it. But ultimately, you've got to come. And you've got to tell people you're going to come, and you've got to get those people to tell they're going to come, and your competitors and your colleagues and your partners and your potential customers, they all come together. But this is a team effort.
Well, I bet this show has been one monster of an endeavor to put together, kind of like herding cats to manage this project. What has been the most significant issues for you to address on this?
I think they're external. It's a tough economy out there. We can't fight shy of that. As much as we have penetration in the market and good awareness in the market as Anglo International, given our 17 years of producing the magazine, we are dealing with people that have got to make very tough decisions.
Okay.
Yeah. What I'm finding is that people are very, very supportive. They want there to be a show. They are just making their decisions a little later than usual. And I think that's just right away across the board, almost it's even true in households, isn't it? I mean,
well, it's true. Marketing budgets are not unlimited.
Yeah, and people are just making their decisions later. They want to come, and they will come. But yeah, that's the biggest challenge.
So, what is the cutoff date for those looking to come to the show?
Well,
and display.
For booths, we have 2 more weeks before we can say, okay, that's it. The show is full. This is our lineup. For visitors, we're encouraging people to pre-register right now, so we can be contacting them and giving them the best details about what programs we're putting on, and the hotels and so on and so on, helping them actually make a great show for themselves. But you can come right on the day. Come up, and we'll give you a badge, and you can walk on through. It's free for visitors, so walk on through.
Oh, so that's a little different scenario then. It's open to the public.
No. So, visitors as a business to business.
Okay, business to business. Okay.
So you get your retailers and your media and your distributors, and of course, any people on the fringes of the industry now, social media influencers and bloggers and journalists. They register right now on the website, but otherwise be there on the day.
Have you ever thought of opening up, future shows, maybe just a day for the angling public, the consumer, to come visit?
That's a great question. I mean, you wouldn't be surprised to think that people have chewed over that question so many times. The issue with it is how niche angling is and how geographic it is. So if you have a business to business trade show like we have, we're bringing everybody under one roof. There'll be carp brands, predator brands, fly fishing brands, also suppliers that don't deal directly to the public. So factories and OEM label suppliers. So what you've got is a very broad show, business to business show.
Right.
But then as far as anglers are concerned, they're very niche. So would there ever be enough for carp anglers, for example, to make a trip from the UK? Would there be enough for Scandinavian pike anglers to come to a show in Budapest, which has factories from China who are there, or OEM suppliers of factories? So it has a different feel to it, but it also doesn't have the level of content that would appeal across the board to all the different tribes of anglers. So it's always to square that circle is almost impossible.
I bet so. I've looked at that with ICAST. I've walked around and I've said, if they would just open this up for a day, a charge admission, if you need to help. But there's just so much there.
Yeah, I can see it at ICAST because pretty much you're talking in the US 2 or 3 types of fishing, maybe. It's pretty much your saltwater, and then your bass, and then similar kind of fishing up north, but they're not too dissimilar. In Europe, it cuts right the way across. I mean, a carp angler is so different to a fly fisherman, to
Oh, very true.
a angler, to a cod fisherman in the frozen North Sea. But I could see it in ICAST. I really could. Yeah. What a huge show that would be.
Oh, it is. It's just a
Yeah.
huge show, period.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's help out with your client support efforts before we go.
Mhm.
What is the answer to the number one support question or questions you and your team receive daily?
Let's have a think. They're pretty much now. We're at the stage now where people are asking very detailed questions about the quality of the walls of their booths and the carpeting and,
Right.
and the electronics and things like that. So we're right down into the minutiae of the booth now. The one question people are beginning to ask now, because we've just launched it, is about our product showcase. So we've decided that we need to bring new products out of the corner of the show where they're traditionally housed on display behind glass, and we're gonna talk about new products directly on stage during the show. We're going to invite people up who've entered the new products showcase, and we're going to invite them up one at a time, and we're going to talk to them about their product and ask them to demonstrate those for us and tell us about what makes them special.
Oh, that's great.
We're gonna have a stage show, so it's gonna be. I'm hoping we're still working out the full details, but I guess it's gonna have a feel of a rolling radio show. We can invite people up and okay, let's talk about your new product. So people are getting very excited about that. And so the question is now, okay, how do I enter the product showcase? As an exhibitor, you're already registered and you have an account on our website, and you follow that and you enter your new products there. We're also opening it up to those visitors. So certain brands and suppliers will only be visiting this year, but we're inviting them to also enter their products to the product showcase and be on the list to be part of the interviews on stage. And they just need to contact the show team direct by email, register their interest direct to them. They don't need to have an exhibitor account, and they can get their products into the product showcase that way.
Oh, that's great. Are you going to have an awards type scenario with?
We will. Yeah,
Okay.
we will. And it'll bring all the joy and all the challenges that every awards does at a trade show like this.
Yes.
We want it to be much more of a showcase than an awards ceremony, though. In the past, the FTEX awards ceremony would be at a swanky gala dinner, but it was just, to my mind and the minds of my co-owners of the show, it was just a little bit too exclusive. We want everybody who's at the show, to be able to see who's won and to open it up a bit, and so to do it from the show floor.
Is there any other topics that I missed, according to, that really feature on the show? Because I think it's great that you're having that show this year, and I wish I could come over and visit myself.
Yeah. If you did, you'd be surprised at how global it is. So we're the show's strapline would be we're connecting the trade in Europe, but it's much broader than that. We've got attendees already from 50 countries.
Wow.
In the world. So China, Japan, USA, Canada, India, Australia. We're having our first ever European trade show exhibitor from Egypt.
Interesting.
Hook supplier from Egypt. You'd be quite surprised if you came over just by the geography of Europe, is the fringe of Europe around the top of North Africa, and then even in towards the Middle East, and of course Turkey as well. We bring people from there too, and those are vibrant markets. They're often overlooked. You asked me about the European market at the top end, and I imagine in your mind's eye, you're immediately thinking of France, Germany, Italy, Scandinavia, the UK.
Right.
But Turkey's a massive fishing tackle market. The Middle East has a vibrant market. North Africa has, as you see, as I said, suppliers, but also retailers and anglers. And Europe is at the heart of that. It's uniquely placed to bring people from all these parts of the world.
I bet the market is really, when you sit down and think
Mm.
about it, a lot larger in depth and scope than most people would probably first think.
Yeah, you just it's just shocking. It's just shocking. That's what I've learned. I've learned from my time as the owner of Angler International. I tell a story sometimes of a fly rod company that came to us specifically to break into Europe, and that was the message that we conveyed as we wrote about them in the magazine. And a few weeks later, we were talking about progress, and they said, "Yeah, we've signed up a new distributor in Peru."
Oh, that's great. That's
Peru.
awesome.
So you go out there and you look for one thing, but because of the breadth of our readership and the breadth of the audience that we're bringing to Angling International Live, you might find something else. The second strap that we use for the show is good things happen at trade shows.
Well, this is true.
And you turn up. You turn up and you have a plan and you have a program and you have a schedule of what you want to achieve and you have your meetings set out. But you never know who might just walk up to you and shake your hand and set you on a path to new business from a part of the world that you never imagined.
What about South America? Are you seeing companies from South America? I mean, that's a big market for us. Naturally,
Yeah.
flats and inshore fishing is, that's notorious for that. And from Mexico all the way down. Are you seeing any of those tackle
Well,
distributors and companies coming to the show?
what might surprise you, or may or may not, I guess, is the strength of the Brazilian market,
Oh, yeah.
for example. So they've got a vibrant trade show in Sao Paulo. I think it happens in February this year, or in 2025. That's when it will happen. But that's been going for a long time. But we brought over, or they brought over last year, a Brazilian line supplier. And when I sat down with them in Budapest last year, and they began to show me just the size of their operation, the sheer scale of this factory. Again, maybe in your mind's eye, you've got an idea of what a Brazilian line factory might look like, but you'd be way off. And this was huge operation and servicing right away across South America from Brazil, and being a very, very profitable and valuable and strong business. And again, they're looking to take that across the world and find customers in other parts of the world. And again, I sat down with them and said, okay, let's help define you as a Brazilian supplier, what it is to be a Brazilian supplier beyond your sheer size. You're servicing the South American market. What kind of demands does that put on a line supplier? And how can we use that to then define you out to the rest of the world? Fascinating.
Business model wise, Rob, what for that type of company, are they targeted more towards wholesale, or are they also branching off into direct to consumer sales?
Well, so what they tend to do is because they have a production facility, and a huge production facility with all the cost savings that brings, they can immediately be a white label, what we call OEM.
Right.
Whether your audience understands OEM, but the white label producer of specialist line that brands in Europe or the US then take and put their own stamp on it and market it as their product. So a company of that size in Brazil that has a huge operation can immediately do that. The second job, once you've made inroads into a new territory like that, is to build your brand, which is different. That's a different level of investment,
Right.
a different skill. Then you're having to kind of, as I say, define your brand, market your brand, have somebody to become the face of that brand, and so on and so on. Which is why we've talked on a separate note, we've talked in the past in the pages of our magazine, and I've talked on social media about, you asked the question, where are all the Chinese brands? Chinese have hugely profitable businesses. All the money's over there in the factories. But how do they then create a global brand out of that? And it's not just in angling. I mean, there's very few Chinese brands even now. They're just starting to come on board now in other markets, telecommunications or cars or whatever you want to talk about.
Right.
Where are the Chinese brands? Because they've got the financial power to create a brand, but it necessitates different skills. So that's what that Brazilian line company would probably do. Is that it would be a supplier of product in the first instance, and then build a brand from there that then obviously they have more control over.
Yeah, different vertical markets. Right. Very much so.
Yeah.
So how does a company contact you, Rob, so that you can help them land, no pun intended, more customers for their products for your market space? And when I think of Angling International, that market space to me, correct me if I'm wrong, just really isn't European. It's worldwide.
Absolutely. Yeah, it absolutely is. Well, they contact me directly. My personal email is rob@angling-international.com. rob@angling-international.com. And we'll talk. We're not prescriptive. We like to open up a discussion. So if they have if a brand has ambitions to sell across the world, simple as that. Make contact with me, and we'll begin to put a plan together. If you want to come to the show, we have a dedicated website, www.angling-international-live.com. So anglinginternationallive.com, and you can register for a booth or to visit the show.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, Rob, thanks for joining us today. I do appreciate it. I really enjoyed doing the research for this particular show because of the, business to business background is not, it's not something that I think a lot of people are aware of, especially when we were talking about, guys and gals going to Bass Pro and buying a spool of line, the whole back end infrastructure that's involved with that, I think is, I don't think that story is told often enough, so they understand the scale. I mean, fishing is huge in the States. It's huge all over the world.
Yeah, and the beauty of this is you only need to shake hands with one person to transform your business in a new country. You just need one distributor in France, one distributor in Italy, one in Germany, one in Scandinavia, one in Australia. So you don't have to knock on a lot of doors or knock over an awful lot of people to be able to actually make a difference to your bottom line.
It's amazing how that system works.
Yeah.
Well, Rob, thanks for joining us today, brother. I do appreciate it, and looking forward to having you join us again as we kind of divulge into this, spider it out into different market segments.
They're great questions, by the way.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. But no, really enjoyed having you on with us today, and looking forward to getting some more shows in the future and coming over and visiting Angling Live.
Please do.
I would love to do that, just to meet everybody and shake hands and just see how that market works as compared to what we're exposed to at ICAST and some of the other shows.
Sure. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, buddy. I do appreciate it. Have a great day.
You too, Dave. Thank you.
And thanks again to our fantastic guest, Rob Carter of Angling International, for updating us on the state of the tackle industry and their show Angling International Live, which is coming up soon. You can read more about the show on flatsnation.com. And we look forward to working with Rob on some more shows soon as we feature specific market segments more in depth. Also, don't forget to check out our friends at Afrayo to land some great coffee. Just use the code FLATSNATION, all one word, when you go to checkout to save 10% on your first and follow-on orders. We have some big things in the works as we all strive to stay caffeinated before and while on the skiff. And speaking of the skiff, this is so you don't get roasted in the sun or eaten up as badly by the bugs. The newer Flats Nation technical wear has received some great reviews and is now ready to ship. You can review them in the various blend-in colors on our site simply by clicking on the link for the top title bar for our store. We hope you enjoyed our show today. Flats Nation is your answer for reviewing your products and services related to flats and inshore fishing, but that's not all. Flats Nation is the perfect place to advertise your products or services that connect to our passion. Do you have a product for a tow vehicle? How about a new lure? Want to advertise your guide service? Call us at 941-271-5055 or email us at info@flatsnation.com and let us get the desired exposure. And now, here's the rest of today's awesome tune to run the skiff back home with. Tight lines and God bless.